Emma Hollis had always believed in the pillars of her life: love, stability, and trust. After nearly a decade of marriage to James, a rising executive with a promising career, and the joys of raising two children, she felt like she had built an enviable life. They had a picturesque home in the suburbs of Chicago, where backyard barbecues and children's laughter filled the air. James, with his chiseled features and affable nature, was the quintessential husband. Or so Emma thought. It began as a gradual unraveling, a whispering discontent, masked in daily responsibilities and routine. Late nights at the office turned into excuses, and Emma found herself brushing aside peculiarities, convinced that doubt was the enemy of love. There were subtle signs, enough to make her glance sideways at her life, but never enough to pierce her heart with certainty. Until one crisp autumn evening, when a casual errand would shatter the very foundation of her existence. Emma had decided to drop by James's workplace to surprise him with dinner, a thoughtful gesture meant to reinvigorate their relationship. As she approached the sleek modern building, her heart raced with excitement. Unbeknownst to her, this small act of love would become a portal to hell. Entering the corporate lobby, she felt a buzz of energy in the air, a camaraderie she once cherished. But as she stepped toward the elevators, she overheard pieces of a conversation that turned her blood cold. There, on the cusp of the executive lounge, she spotted James leaning close to Sophie, his delightful assistant. They laughed, flirtatiously, intimately. The way Sophie looked at him sent a surge of something primal through Emma, a death of innocence. Emma froze. It was as if the room had melted away, leaving her suspended in disbelief. Was this the man who promised her forever? She remembered the late nights, the busy weekends he promised they would share, the intimacy they had lost but were supposed to rediscover. Her heart felt like a cage, a beautiful prison she had decorated with trust and care, now ensnared by the claws of betrayal. But Emma was not the kind to succumb to despair. The betrayal ignited a fire within her, a dire need to confront the reality of her life. She took a deep breath, steeled herself, and marched toward the lounge, filled with adrenaline-fueled clarity. As she burst through the door, laughter ceased. All eyes turned. Time seemed to stand still. "Emma!" James blurted, his shock plain, the color draining from his face. Sophie backed away, realizing she was caught in a web spun tighter than she ever intended. "You have some explaining to do," Emma said, her voice steady but icy. "Is this what our marriage means to you? This charade?" James fumbled for words, each failed attempt a dagger to Emma's heart. She could feel the eyes of their peers on her, yet it didn't matter. This was her moment. "I should be asking you why you're here, Emma," he finally managed, attempting to gather himself. "This is professional." "Professional?" Emma's voice rose, dripping with disdain as the truth burrowed deep into her chest. "Is this how you treat your professional relationships? When she calls you James, I can assure you, it's not about business." Gasps echoed through the room as whispers brewed like a storm. Emma knew she had them all. Choices of loyalty now laid bare. And she wasn't just aiming for James. She needed to dismantle the foundations of their lives, expose the reality of their toxic love. Sophie faltered, her cheeks flushing crimson. "Emma, You don't need to apologize to me, Sophie," Emma interrupted, her tone lethal. "You're just a symptom, not the disease." She turned to James, her eyes cool under the heated weight of anguish. "You will lose everything." This is just the beginning. The confrontation spiraled out, with eyes affixed to the tension between the three of them. Emma felt unleashed, a predator in pursuit. She would not be the victim. She would be the claw that ripped apart their facade. As his colleagues focused on James's crumbling demeanor, Emma began plotting her revenge, fueled by the venom of betrayal. Leaving the gathering, Emma promised herself she wouldn't just walk away. She would eradicate the world they had built together. No more facade of innocence. No mercy. She would strip James of everything he held dear. The financial security, the reputation built on her hard work, was now her weapon. Emma, once a nurturing wife, was about to turn the tables. It was time to ensure that James felt every ounce of pain he had dealt her, and much more. She began documenting every detail, the spending sprees charged to their joint account, evidence of his infidelities, and ultimately preparing herself for a legal battle that would not only tear apart their lives, but expose the rot of their relationship to the world. Emma smiled. The reckoning was coming. The fall of James Hollis was about to be the greatest spectacle of her life. But the emotional crescendo was yet to come. Emma needed a strategy, a path that would lead her through the chaos and emerge triumphant. The game was on, and with this knowledge, she would prepare for the oncoming storm with calculated precision. Nothing would escape her grasp, not love, not loyalty, and certainly not revenge. As the days turned into weeks, Emma Hollis transformed from a devoted wife into a fierce warrior, channeling her grief and rage into meticulous planning. She took advantage of her husband's social uber wealth as a tool. Every luxury unjustly funded by betrayal would be turned against him. It was a dance with fire, but she felt empowered, intoxicated by the anticipation of revenge. Documenting every misplaced receipt, she became familiar with every financial transaction. Dinners at upscale restaurants, clothing purchases, and lavish weekend getaways with his assistant painted a documentary of infidelity. Gathering this evidence wasn't merely about vindication. It was about crafting a narrative that would expose James's hypocrisy and failings as a husband and father. One particular night, as she scanned the bank statements, her heart raced with a mix of adrenaline and satisfaction. Emma drafted a meticulous letter to their bank, highlighting unusual expenses and unauthorized transactions. Swiftly, she invoked a freeze on their accounts with the expertise of someone who had learned to navigate the legal labyrinth of marital finance. James wouldn't just lose money, he would lose access to everything he thought he owned. In those moments of cunning, she found strength. The default nature of femininity she had embodied was now replaced by an intense assurance grounded in reality. The world wasn't simply black and white. It was colored with betrayal and the rightful wrath of a wounded heart. Meanwhile, the public fallout of the confrontation at James's office spiraled outward. Colleagues who once viewed James respectably now whispered behind closed doors. "Did you hear about his wife? What a shame." Emma had unwittingly donned a cape of social justice, becoming a voice for silent sufferings. The shame and betrayal cloaked James like a shroud, and with each passing day, the rumors of his indiscretion twisted tighter around his reputation. Emma also knew what her own strategy had to be: expose the layers of deceit and manipulation. She planned a dinner with her closest friends, women she had trusted for years. They needed to know the truth. She invited them to her home, where comfort and candor collided. As they gathered, Emma's heart raced, but she was solid in her resolve. "Ladies, I need to share something I've hidden all this time." The room quieted, each gaze fixated on her as the warmth of candlelight flickered against anxious faces. "James has betrayed me, and I intend to ensure he pays for this betrayal." Gasps echoed, followed by supportive murmurs, and Emma felt strength in their unity. She meticulously detailed the multiple facets of James's betrayal: the late nights, the lavish expenses, the lies cloaked in familiarity. One friend, Maria, offered to help her document what was happening, crafting a powerful narrative that would resonate within their circle. The ebb of confidence returned to Emma. With every voice that echoed support, she recognized the strength she had unintentionally ignited among them. From women who had endured silent suffering to those who had had their own brush with disloyalty, together they formed a formidable force. With their support, Emma intensified her legal pursuit. She hired a no-nonsense attorney, a bulldog in a tailored suit who had a reputation for dismantling powerful men. During their meetings, Emma laid out the evidence she had gathered: I want this to be swift and definitive. He needs to understand the weight of his actions." The attorney nodded, a wicked smile spreading across his face. "We'll go for maximum compensation. He will be blindsided, and you'll emerge clear. The law demands accountability." The request for divorce was submitted, and as the papers echoed against the paperweights of their lives, Emma felt a blend of fear and exhilaration course through her. There was a distinct feeling of liberation, an intangible lightness that broke the weight of her heart. She was no longer a passive recipient of betrayal. She was wielding her power. As the divorce case unfolded, Emma's world fractured into new truths that pierced her like daggers. Children were pawns often used in games of power. She refused to let them fall victim to their father's mistakes. James, who had once been everything to her, was now an obstacle to their future, a portrait of what might have been. Yet even amidst chaos, her resolve was unwavering. Each time she encountered James, be it through lawyers' meetings or court appearances, she felt a tremendous shift. Paralyzed by his shame, he struggled to hold on to the remnants of his status, while Emma stood tall, a phoenix emerging from the ash of his deception. The final court date loomed, and Emma's nerves simmered, bubbling away beneath the surface as her resolve crystallized into sharp determination. In the courtroom, she witnessed James, disheveled and beleaguered, as his facade cracked under the weight of public scrutiny. Emma stayed composed, listening as her attorney laid bare the financial and emotional damages he had inflicted on her. Then came the moment of reckoning, the emotional nail in the coffin. The judge allowed her to speak. With fierce vulnerability, Emma addressed the court, her eyes locking onto James's as she detailed the impact of his betrayal on their family. "You broke our home, James," she declared, her voice steady. "You forfeited my trust and our children's stability for a fleeting moment of selfish romance." James squirmed, refusing to meet her gaze as the weight of her words sank in. When the ruling finally came down, it shattered James's world. Joint custody for their children, but with conditions designed to restrict his financial access, his income earmarked for the family, rather than the luxuries that concealed his unfaithfulness. Emma felt triumphant as the gavel fell, a sound that confirmed her resilience. As she gathered her things, she spotted James looking lost, completely diminished, the weight of his own making suffocating him. In that final moment, Emma approached. "You thought you could take my life from me, but I've reclaimed my power, and I'm taking our children with me," she said, sealing his defeat with a flourish she knew would linger in his memory. His eyes brimmed with desperation, but Emma felt a sense of satisfaction as she turned to leave, feeling the weight of every hardship lift. The past was behind her, yet the scars of betrayal remained. Emma walked away unapologetic and victorious, fully aware that some wounds may never heal. But she had risen from the ashes, stronger and fiercely herself. The world belonged to her once again. In the weeks that followed the court ruling, Emma Hollis embraced her newfound independence with fervor. The weight of James's betrayal still lingered, but rather than allowing it to chain her to the past, she used it as fuel to propel herself forward. She poured her energy into reclaiming both her personal and professional lives, rebuilding with a strength that surprised even her. With the children's needs at the forefront of her mind, Emma focused on ensuring they felt secure and loved. She initiated family therapy sessions, allowing them space to voice their feelings about the upheaval. Emma's heart swelled with pride as she watched her children open up, making it clear that she was not just their mother, but their ally. The bond between them deepened, and they became a unit fortified by resilience, an unbreakable trio. At work, Emma, a graphic designer, decided it was time to reassess her career path after being overshadowed for years. She had allowed James's success to blind her to her own potential, but now she was determined to change that. She began seeking out freelance opportunities, showcasing her portfolio online, networking with others, and pitching her ideas to local businesses. Her tenacity paid off. Within a few months, Emma landed a contract with a popular lifestyle blog to redesign their digital presence. The exhilaration of creating something she could call her own revitalized her spirit. Each project was a piece of her healing, a cathartic release from the pain that had once paralyzed her. James, on the other hand, struggled to find footing in a world that seemed increasingly hostile. The whispers about his extramarital activities followed him like a shadow, and his usual charm failed to distract from the reality of his actions. Reduced to a mere obstruction in his children's lives, he sank into a pit of regret, alienated from both friends and family who once adored him. As Emma flourished, she became the subject of conversations among their mutual acquaintances who initially sided with James. The narrative had shifted, leaving him in the ashes of his own making. No matter how hard he tried to regain his former reputation, he found eyes averted. Friends who had once rallied around him now avoided discussing his misdeeds. Emma's public strength only amplified his isolation. Emma relished the attention, her confidence swelling as she became a symbol of resilience. Women in her circle praised her courage, and she became a beacon for those who had faced similar betrayals. Emma began offering mentorship to women seeking to reclaim their power after divorce, and she soon discovered that she had a knack for guiding others through their struggles. One evening, as she prepared for a workshop at a local community center, she noticed a message pop up on her phone. It was from James. The words were strained but hauntingly familiar. "Can we talk? It's important." Emma felt the old chill of resentment creep in, but she was no longer that woman longing for clarity. Instead, curiosity piqued her interest. What could he possibly have to say, she thought, her mind racing. When they finally met at a coffee shop, the air buzzed with unspoken tension. James sat across from her, significantly diminished. His clothes were pressed, but the weariness in his eyes told the story of a man desperately scrambling to regain control over a life that had spiraled into chaos. "Thank you for meeting with me," he started, clearing his throat, uncharacteristically subdued. "I wanted to apologize for everything." Emma raised an eyebrow, skepticism woven into her expression. "Apology doesn't fix anything, James. You destroyed our marriage, our family. You thought of yourself before anyone else." He nodded, swallowing hard. "I know, I was selfish. I never realized how much I had until it was gone. Sophie, it was a stupid mistake." "Stupid?" Emma interjected, venom dripping from her words. "It wasn't just a mistake. It was a calculated choice. You injured the very foundation of our family for a fleeting moment of excitement." She noticed his shoulders slump, as though her words were heavy weights anchoring him to the ground. "I get that now. I've lost everything. I'm not asking for it back, but I want you to know I realized how wrong I was. I miss the kids. I miss you. I thought I'd be fine, but I'm not." Seeing James struggle with his reality momentarily tugged at Emma's heart, but she quickly silenced those irrational instincts. "This isn't about you, James. You put us in this position. If you miss us, it should serve as a constant reminder of what you did. I'll never forget the pain caused. The children will have to reckon with the choices you made. It's not my duty to alleviate your remorse." A heavy silence settled between them. Perhaps their shared history granted her the slightest sense of empathy, but watching him writhe in discomfort mingled with the satisfaction of knowing she had emerged victorious. She was no longer a victim, she was a warrior. "Is there anything I can do to make things right?" he asked, desperation creeping into his tone. Emma contemplated his words, aware that raising the children would mean they would encounter him again. "You need to show them that you've changed through actions, not words. They're young and impressionable, and I need to see you invest in them. Not just when it suits you." "What do you mean?" he asked, brows furrowed with confusion. "I mean, you need to make this right. Show them that you are capable of being a father who deserves their love. If you want their respect back, you need to earn it," Emma replied steadily, her heart resolute. As they parted ways, Emma felt a deep sense of closure wash over her. The conversation had jolted the memories of their past bond, but also reaffirmed her firm stance in the face of his attempts at redemption. She was not here to rewrite their history. She was determined to forge her own future, free from manipulation and deceit. Nothing was lost on her, not the lessons learned, nor the strength gained. Each day brought new challenges, but she was ready to face them all. Emma Hollis, once a mere shadow in the life she had built with James, was now a vibrant force navigating her own path. She felt empowered, ready to embrace whatever fate had in store. Nothing could shatter her again. The ashes of betrayal had birthed something beautiful within her, a newly forged identity, anchored in strength and endurance. In the months following her encounter with James, Emma embraced the liberation that came from reclaiming her identity. She continued to build her freelance career, slowly gaining a reputation as a talented graphic designer. Her projects flourished with creativity, and she took great pride in her work. Every new client was not just a source of income, but a testament to her resilience and rebirth. As her professional life thrived, Emma also made an effort to cultivate friendships that had been neglected. Reconnecting with her supportive circle of women provided strength and comfort. They shared laughter, tears, and triumphs over brunches filled with mimosas, crafting a sisterhood that fortified them all. Emma became a source of inspiration and encouragement as she guided others through personal challenges and celebrated their victories. This community was key to her emotional healing. However, the shadow of James still loomed as he began to navigate fatherhood on the outside, looking in. He made half-hearted attempts to engage with their children, but his efforts often felt hollow, leaving Emma feeling conflicted. The children would come home from their weekend visits with stories of their father, stories punctuated by uncertainty and disappointment. "He just wants to watch TV, Mom," Olivia would say. "He doesn't even play with us." This unease sat heavily on Emma's heart. She knew that their children deserved a father, but James seemed lost in his own numbness, detached from the responsibilities that came with his role. Emma had laid out a path and created expectations, but it became clear that James struggled to walk it. Caring for their children and facing the repercussions of his actions proved to be more than he had anticipated. One evening, after picking the kids up from their weekend at their father's, Emma noticed the change in their mood. "You seem quiet, honey," she said gently to Evan, her youngest. "He was just there," Evan replied softly. "He didn't talk much. It was like he was somewhere else." That small revelation struck Emma like a bolt of lightning. James had been doing the bare minimum, and the consequences were slowly seeping into the fabric of their children's lives. She realized she had to stand firm while having the difficult discussions that their mother-son bond required. Emma ventured into deep waters she never thought she would navigate, but her children were worth it. Setting up a family discussion one evening, she felt both anxious and resolute. As they sat together, she gently addressed the importance of honesty and their feelings regarding their father. "You know you can tell me anything, right? If you're uncomfortable or confused about something, it's okay to talk about it." Olivia spoke first, a serious look etched across her young face. "I love Dad, but sometimes I'm scared he'll just leave again. He doesn't seem interested in what we do anymore." Emma's heart ached at Olivia's vulnerability. It's understandable to feel that way. When someone doesn't act how we expect, it creates confusion. She knelt down to be eye level with her children. "It's important to remember that you are not alone. I'm here for you, and I will always prioritize us together." The conversation continued, morphing into something that would bind them closer together. Emma encouraged an open dialogue, emphasizing that their feelings mattered. That night, she felt a renewed bond with her children, understanding that by nurturing their emotional intelligence, she was building a foundation for them to become strong individuals in their own right. Meanwhile, James was enduring his lowly position. As his attempts to win back his children faltered, he found solace in fleeting connections, partying into the night, and distracting himself from the wave of emotional reckoning that loomed ever closer. The consequences of their separation settled like a dense fog around him. In his heart, he knew that the game of appearances had long lost its authenticity. As weeks turned into months, Emma noticed James's inevitable decline. Their mutual acquaintances were quick to inform her of his increasingly reckless behavior. He was seen out drinking with some friends until the early hours, one friend remarked. They say he looks exhausted and not himself at all. A part of Emma felt sadness for him, even though she remained firm in her resolve not to return to that life. She wondered how far he would go before confronting the reality of his choices. Then, one night, amid their usual routine, she received a frantic phone call from Olivia. Their daughter had fallen ill. "Mom, I can't breathe," she gasped. Upon hearing her child's distress, Emma's heart raced, and she rushed to her daughter's side. At the clinic, after a thorough examination, the doctor diagnosed Olivia with bronchitis, aggravated by asthma, an ailment that had flared up due to seasonal changes. Emma listened intently as the doctor explained the treatment and precautions to take. Meanwhile, a nagging concern settled on her, sending waves of frustration through her veins. Where was James? After a sleepless night monitoring Olivia's fever, Emma received a text from James. "Hey, I heard Olivia's sick. Can I see her?" Emma's first instinct was to refuse. No, this is not the time, she thought. But as she weighed her decision, she realized Olivia needed her father now more than ever. A pivotal moment of decision-making washed over her. Perhaps opening a window for him might yield a response she hadn't expected. The next day, as she prepared to take Olivia home from the clinic, she decided to inform James that he could see their daughter. Upon hearing Olivia's condition, he rushed to the house. Anxiety swirled amongst them and apprehension filled the air. But Emma held her breath, watching carefully as James entered the room. "Hey, sweetheart," he said softly as he moved to sit next to Olivia's bed. Emma saw him attempt tenderness, something she had longed for him to embrace. She observed how he grasped her hand, whispering words of comfort, a hint of genuine urgency bleeding through and surprising Emma. Over the next few weeks, as Olivia healed, James began to clear the fog surrounding him. He returned to more regular visits, though his presence was still tentative and unsteady. Emma didn't let her guard down completely, but she recognized the effort he was trying to put forth for their daughter. During one of those visits, they ended up in a deeper conversation than she expected. "I just don't want to be the bad guy," he confessed unexpectedly, pain leaking from him like a slow puncture wound. "You've already made those choices, James. Children forgive quickly, yes, but respect is not gained so easily. Your actions have consequences," Emma replied, projecting the strength she had fought so hard to achieve. James nodded, realization washing over him. "I know that now. Losing you all has opened my eyes. I'm doing my best to do better." The weeks passed as James worked diligently to mend his relationship with Olivia. Emma found herself cautiously appreciative. He hadn't given up amid a web of despair. Their children began to soften, feeling the reach of their father's attempt to reconnect. For Emma, the delicate balance of encouraging this new side of James while protecting her children was complicated but oddly refreshing, like the first bloom of spring after a long winter. She was ready to embrace this unsettling consistency as a clear reflection of where they could all go from here. Life felt heavy with expectation, yet the possibilities blossomed before her. It was a journey still unfolding, but she was resolute in facing it with purpose. As her children thrived in this environment, Emma smiled, knowing that these moments, however challenging, were laying the groundwork for regeneration, a second chance for James, and an even greater opportunity for her family to define their own narrative anew. Each step forward, she knew, was a chance to rewrite the history they shared, building a foundation of strength, trust, and resilience. A tapestry woven from layers of experience, pain, and growth. Emma Hollis felt an indescribable connection to the life she was crafting and to the possibility of peace she had never felt was achievable. The heart was not only a vessel for love, but also a landscape of tenacity where every scar had turned into a testament to her survival. She stepped forward in her new world, ready to embrace each moment with both courage and clarity, knowing her story was far from over. As the seasons turned, Emma found herself navigating the delicate dance of co-parenting with James more fluidly. His efforts to engage with Olivia were earnest, and while she remained protective, she sensed a resolve in him that hadn't existed before. The stress of their past still hung in the air, but with each day she allowed a sliver of cautious optimism to soften the edges that had formed around her heart. Olivia's condition improved, and with each passing week, James made time to spend with their daughter. He initiated visits filled with little outings, ice cream dates, and trips to the local park. For Emma, the sight of James swinging Olivia into the air on the playground made her realize that perhaps he was beginning to reconnect with not just her, but with the loving essence of what fatherhood should look like. Still, in the back of her mind lingered the reminder of his betrayal, a ghost that haunted the edges of their new normal. She often wrestled with her emotions, a refreshing sense of growth alongside the nagging fear that one misstep could shatter the fragile balance they had achieved. Each time he picked up Olivia, an ever-present tension flickered in her stomach. But she also knew that this gradual change was more for their children than for her own healing process. One afternoon, as Emma was unpacking groceries, she received a text from James. "Can we talk? It's important." Anxiety coursed through her. Was he backsliding into old habits? Had something occurred that would breach their tenuous peace? Taking a breath, Emma decided she would engage in the conversation, cautious yet open. They agreed to meet at a nearby cafe, and as she arrived, she noticed James already seated, fidgeting with a steamy cup of coffee. His expression was a mix of resolve and vulnerability that made her heart race. "Thanks for coming," he said when she took a seat. His voice carried a weight that begged her attention. "I wanted to let you know that I've started working with a therapist. I recognize that I have a lot to learn about myself, about being a better father and a better person." Emma furrowed her brows, processing his admission. "That's good to hear, but that requires commitment. This isn't just a short-term fix." "I know," he replied, the sincerity on his face palpable. "I want to show you, Olivia and Evan, that I am serious about changing. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and I understand how my actions have hurt you all. I didn't take responsibility before, but I want to start now." The emotions swirling within Emma were complex. Part of her wanted to protect the newfound stability they had carved out of chaos. But deeper down, she realized that acceptance of change can't be done alone. "It's a long road, James," she finally said. "I'm glad you're taking the first step, but there's still a lot of work to do." He nodded solemnly, as if grappling with the weight of both his past and future coexisting. "I understand. I want to be there for Olivia and Evan, not just to show up, but to be involved in their lives in a way I never have before." In that moment, a small flicker of trust sparked, a tentative opening for healing. Emma knew that while she couldn't rewrite history, she could reshape the future. Their conversations became more frequent, and as she watched him consistently make an effort, she cautiously lowered the barriers she had built around her heart. While she remained vigilant, she also saw glimpses of the man he used to be, filled with ambition and love, guiding their children through this uncertain terrain. Family dynamics began to shift, and with their father's presence reinforcing their stability, Olivia and Evan flourished. Emma took pride in seeing the light return to the kids' eyes. They laughed more, hugged more, and became more resilient. The positive changes inspired her to further explore her aspirations. Emma enrolled in a local entrepreneurship workshop aimed at women, hoping to turn her freelance work into a larger venture. She discovered a passion for teaching and community engagement, while diving into the intricacies of running a business. Her confidence bloomed as she formed bonds with other women in the program, who uplifted each other through shared stories of hardship and resilience. Yet just as her personal growth accelerated, an unexpected invitation arrived, a reunion for their high school graduating class. Emma found herself feeling torn. The thought of fending off questions about her life post-James felt daunting, yet the chance to showcase her transformation was alluring. She decided to attend, seeing it as an opportunity to reclaim her narrative and step back into a space that had once felt so familiar, yet distant. What would everyone think? Would she be viewed as the woman defined by her broken marriage, or the empowered new version of herself? As the date of the reunion approached, Emma invested in a stunning dress that made her feel confident. She began to see the universe as a series of interconnected moments, part of a larger journey she had begun to navigate with grace and strength. The night of the reunion arrived, and Emma entered the venue with trepidation. A buzz of nostalgia filled the air as laughter echoed in the dimly lit room. Before long, friendly faces surrounded her, familiar yet changed. They were eager to catch up, and she spoke openly about her career and the path she had forged post-divorce. As the evening wore on, Emma saw James appear across the room, mingling nervously among the guests. The old feeling of dread surfaced, but this time it felt different. She was no longer his anxious wife, but a woman who had taken back her life. "Hey, Emma," he said, approaching her with a gentle smile. The awkwardness felt palpable, but his presence was surprisingly comforting. "I didn't expect to see you here," she replied, keeping her tone steady. "I wanted to support you. You've worked hard to rebuild yourself." "Well, thank you. It's nice to know you're investing time in being present for the kids. Your presence matters more than you realize." They exchanged polite smiles, and time distorted as memories of their past danced between them. As the evening progressed, it became evident that many attended to admire the strength Emma radiated. Old classmates turned to her for advice, seeking insight and wisdom about navigating their own lives. She felt a deep sense of belonging that transformed the essence of the night. By the end of the reunion, Emma stood outside beneath the stars, taking a moment to relish the warmth of having shared her story while allowing herself to feel accomplished. James stepped beside her, his expression guarded yet curious. "You seem happy. You've really transformed, haven't you?" "I have. It took a great deal of pain for me to finally understand my worth." With a hint of admiration, he said, "You're remarkable, Emma. I truly mean that. You've shown the strength I wish I had." In that brief exchange, Emma understood that healing came with an openness to face the past while embracing the possibility of the future, as imperfect as it may be. The bond they had once shattered was inching towards something different. Not necessarily friendship, but an understanding that the journey wouldn't be defined by their past mistakes. As they returned to their respective homes, she held firmly to the belief that moving forward didn't mean forgetting. It meant honoring the entire journey, including the hardest chapters that made her resilient. Emma stepped back into her life, stronger and steadier than ever, ready to embrace the next steps of her journey. The life unfolding before her was rich with hope, full of possibilities for her children, and an ever-evolving relationship with James. As the weeks passed following the reunion, Emma found herself in a constant state of flux, navigating the complexities of her evolving relationship with James. He had truly committed to being a better father, showing up more consistently for Olivia and Evan, and demonstrating genuine effort to engage with their interests. The children blossomed under his renewed attention, and Emma felt a mix of gratitude and wariness. She appreciated his commitment but remained cautious, ever aware of the tender threads that had been frayed too severely in their past. Despite their caregiver roles, Emma knew that she needed personal boundaries. Setting those boundaries turned out to be both liberating and challenging. One afternoon, while brainstorming business strategies at the local coffee shop, Emma received a message from James. "Can we talk? This evening?" The simple words brought a wave of concern. What could he possibly want now? As night fell and the kids settled into bed, Emma prepared for their meeting with both anticipation and apprehension. She hadn't fully escaped her pain, and uncertainty lingered in her stomach. When James arrived, his demeanor was earnest. They settled at the kitchen table, and he took a deep breath. "I wanted to talk about how we're moving forward," he began, his tone serious. "I've been reflecting on my role in our family and how I can support you, not just as co-parents, but as partners in navigating our children's lives." Emma's heart raced. "Partnership?" she echoed, curiosity battling caution. Are you saying you'd like to be more involved than just being a weekend dad? James nodded slowly. Yes, but I'm not looking for anything romantic. I understand that's not what we are now, and I wouldn't want to jeopardize the progress we've made. But as parents, I think it's essential that we present a united front for them. His honesty was unexpected, and while Emma admired the maturity in his approach, she couldn't ignore the anxiety creeping in. It's important for them to see us working together, she replied carefully. But that also means we must be firm in our boundaries. Absolutely, he assured her. I want to be involved in decisions, like school events and activities. It's not just my time with them. I want to be part of their lives regularly, if you're open to that. A flicker of hope glinted in Emma's chest. It felt good to discuss their shared responsibilities so openly. If we're united, we must agree to communicate efficiently and respect each other's time and space. Our history makes it complicated, but I want to try for the kids, she affirmed, meeting his eye. The conversation culminated in a reluctant agreement to forge a working partnership, one that harmoniously linked their lives without reopening old wounds. Emma felt a thrilling yet grounded sense of accomplishment. She was standing firm and reclaiming her agency in ways she could never have imagined years ago. Days turned to weeks as they built this newly defined relationship and tackled their responsibilities together. Parent-teacher conferences became cooperative ventures, and their joint investment in the children's activities slowly turned into something resembling camaraderie. Emma allowed herself moments of lighthearted interaction with James. Shared laughter over the antics of their children loosened the grips of tension from their past. Meanwhile, Emma's business began to take flight. Her venture, Hollis Creative, blossomed into a small agency as she partnered with other women she had met in the entrepreneurship workshop. Their strength grew from collaboration, and soon they found themselves conducting workshops, giving talks, and pitching to clients in need of innovative graphic design solutions. Emma felt invigorated, relishing her identity as a business owner while navigating the persistent prospect of raising her children alone, yet stronger than ever. But as her professional life bloomed, an unsettling encounter lingered on the horizon. During a routine school meeting, she ran into Sophie, the woman whose presence had darkened the early years of her heartbreak. The other woman was cordial at first, but as Emma navigated the conversation, she felt the undercurrents of tension shifting. Could Sophie still perceive Emma as a threat, even after everything that had passed? Emma, Sophie said, her voice honeyed but with an edge beneath the surface. I'm surprised to see you here. I hope parenting is treating you well. It is, Emma replied, keeping her tone even. Thank you for asking. The kids have been thriving. Sophie's gaze flicked toward where James stood across the room. He seems happy. Emma swallowed, clenching her fists under the table. Yes, he's trying hard to be present for them. Oh, he always did have that charming quality, Sophie said, the delightful undertones replaced with something sharper. Just remember, charm doesn't always translate to reliability. Emma flinched at the veiled jab, feeling a rush of anger. She had spent too long rebuilding her self-worth to let someone like Sophie provoke her. James is doing his best, and that's what matters for our children. I hope you understand your presence, given the circumstances. Sophie cut her off, a smirk breaching her facade. And I hope you understand that I'll always be a part of his life. You can't change that. The moment swirled with tension, and Emma took a deep breath, her heart pounding in response to the confrontation. I might not control who he associates with, but I can assure you his priorities are his children, and that is where my focus lies. Please remember that. Sophie's gaze hardened for a moment before she masked it with a smile. We'll see how reliable that charm truly is. As Sophie walked away, Emma felt freshly awakened anger bubbling inside her. She had faced her tumultuous past and emerged stronger, yet here stood a reminder of the insecurities she thought she had vanquished. Emma steeled herself, recognizing that people like Sophie thrived on disruption, and she would not grant her the satisfaction of stirring doubt. In the days that followed, Emma processed her emotions, reflecting on how she had grown since her life had turned upside down. She had fought through the fires of betrayal and emerged more powerful, not just for herself, but for Olivia and Evan. It was vital that they felt her unwavering strength, especially as they navigated their own identities in the wake of their parents' tumultuous history. During a quiet evening at home with her children, Emma seized the opportunity to share their family history in a constructive way. "You know, your dad and I didn't always get along," she began, her voice soft but steady. "But I want you to understand that everything I do is for both of you. Family means supporting one another through thick and thin." "Does that mean Daddy still loves us?" Evan asked, a hint of confusion in his voice. Emma knelt down to meet her son's gaze. "He does. We learn from mistakes, and he's learning to be a better dad. It's okay to love him and still feel angry about what happened. Your feelings are valid." Their discussion opened a new chapter, providing the children space to express their emotions about James and their fears surrounding family dynamics. Emma recognized that while shadows of their past remained, their willingness to engage in open conversations could shape a more positive future. And for every moment of growth and connection, Emma decided to embrace her path with dignity and compassion while standing firm in her convictions. She wasn't just rebuilding her life, she was defining it with authority, turning her pain into a transformative journey that rippled through all aspects of her world. Little did she know, however, that the tides were turning once more. The sweetness of her new landscape would soon face tests she couldn't foresee. But Emma was more committed than ever to face whatever challenges lay ahead, with strength and courage, emboldened by the truths she had learned and the love she held for her children. Each ripple could lead to a new wave of possibility, and she was ready to ride it. As the warm summer sun poured into her home, washing everything in a golden hue, Emma Hollis felt a renewed sense of optimism. Her journey towards personal and professional growth had blossomed, and life seemed just within her grasp. Olivia and Evan thrived in their school and extracurricular activities, and her burgeoning design agency was gaining traction, pulling in new clients at a steady pace. Emma had transformed so much, from the devastated wife she once was into a confident, self-sufficient woman, leading her own life. But beneath that surface shimmer, a storm brewed. Emma felt it in her gut whenever James's name appeared in conversation, especially since Sophie had shown up at the school recently. Every time she entered the building, the sharp-tongued woman seemed intent on reminding her that the past was never truly buried. Emma's earlier encounter had shaken her resolve, and worry lingered in her heart about how James managed those relationships. One evening, as the children settled into their bedtime routines, Emma received a call from James. Her heart raced for a moment. Was he calling about the kids, or did something more serious lurk behind the request? "Hey, Emma," he began, his voice oddly hesitant. "I wanted to talk about something important." "Sure, what's going on?" "I've been thinking about a family vacation. I discussed it with the kids earlier, and I'd like to plan something we can enjoy together." Emma hesitated, feeling a mix of excitement and wariness flood her. "Together? Just us?" She thought a moment. "What do you have in mind? Maybe a trip to the beach? I know how much they love the water, and it could be a great opportunity for us to bond as a family. I really want to create positive memories moving forward." Her throat tightened. The idea was enticing but daunting. A beach vacation sounds lovely, but is it something that we should do right now? I mean, the kids may not be ready for such close proximity with you yet. "I understand," he replied, his tone earnest. "But they've mentioned wanting to spend more time together. I believe doing something fun might help heal our family dynamic. I want to show them that I can be there for them. No more waiting." Emma weighed the options, aware that bringing James back into the inner circle would mean relinquishing some control. This weekend trip could turn into an opportunity for positive change, especially for the kids. But it also opened the door for unforeseen complications. After much internal debate, she finally acquiesced. "Okay, let's discuss the details and make sure everyone is comfortable. But if I agree, it doesn't mean we're back to the way things were before." As plans for the beach trip materialized, Emma felt a strange mix of hopefulness and trepidation. When she shared the news with Olivia and Evan, their eyes lit up. "Can we go see the dolphins, Mom?" Olivia squealed with excitement, while Evan chimed in, "And ride the waves!" Seeing their joy filled Emma with warmth, reminding her once more that any effort to create a lasting bond was worth the risk. But as the days drew closer, the pressure surged inside her. Would this trip foster healing, or would it ultimately magnify long-standing issues among the three of them? On the day of the vacation, Emma packed the car with essentials: towels, sunscreen, and snacks, filling the trunk with the vibrancy of sun-soaked memories yet to come. As she and the children drove to the beach, she monitored her feelings, trying to keep the apprehension at bay. When they finally arrived, the sun blazed bright overhead, setting a perfect scene for their family adventure. The picturesque beach spread before them, golden sands, deep azure waters, and those inviting waves beckoning them closer. Emma's heart danced with a flicker of excitement. James joined them shortly after, arriving with a cooler and beach chairs. He greeted the kids with warm hugs, laughter echoing as they rushed to the water's edge. Watching them, Emma felt a bittersweet ache in her chest, a reminder of what they had lost and the potential for what could be regained. As the day unfolded, the memories began layering. Olivia squealing as she leaped over the waves, Evan attempting to build the tallest sandcastle he could muster, while James encouraged him, demonstrating how to approach the waves with bravery. Emma felt a sense of belonging swell within her. They were finally forging a new narrative, one filled with laughter and warmth among the wreckage of their past. However, it wasn't long before the undercurrents of tension resurfaced. As Emma and James settled onto their beach chairs, he turned to her, sincerity woven into his expression. "I mean it, Emma. I want to make this work, for the kids and for us." A defensive wall formed in her mind. We can share moments together, but those moments don't mean we're rekindling something we left behind. I need you to understand that I won't go back to how things were. I desire something different from you, something firm moving forward. They continued their dialogue, navigating the complexities of healing and new beginnings. But amidst their conversation, a familiar presence emerged at the edge of the beach. Sophie was there, strutting along the sand with a group of friends, unabashed and radiating confidence. Emma felt her heart tighten, simmering anger rising as she caught sight of her. "Is that—" James trailed off, visibly caught off guard. Emma wanted to pretend she hadn't seen her, but Sophie spotted them and ambled over with a grin that felt like an affront. "Hey, James!" "I didn't expect to see you here," Sophie exclaimed, her voice overly cheerful as she approached, irrelevant of the palpable tension radiating from Emma. "I see you've got the kids with you. How nice." "Yeah," James replied, his voice stiff. "We're just enjoying some family time." Emma could see Sophie's eyes dart to her, measuring her, seeking a reaction. "Looks lovely," Sophie continued, lacing her words with an edge. "But you know, it could always be more fun with the right company." A knot tightened in Emma's gut. She knew Sophie was toying with provocation. James, attempting to diffuse the moment, turned to Emma. "How about we get the kids and get some ice cream, huh?" "Good idea," Emma agreed quickly, her nerves raw. Turning her back to Sophie felt like a small act of defiance, but the tension thickened as they moved to gather the children. Sophie lingered by the water's edge, the laughter of her friends filling the space, but Emma could sense her sly grin, the satisfaction of ruffling feathers. That day had started as a beacon of hope, yet the intrusion felt like a grenade detonating within her, scattering emotions that were just beginning to settle. As Emma and the kids chose flavors of ice cream, she felt the weight of James's gaze beside her. He had noticed her discomfort regarding Sophie. "Are you all right?" he asked cautiously. "Just peachy," Emma replied, forcing the smile, her heart beating quickly with defiance. "Let's enjoy this day for our kids." They returned to the beach, laughter consuming the atmosphere as the kids reveled in the moment. But the sheer presence of Sophie felt persistently haunting, the shadow of tension cast long over the beach trip. Emma rekindled moments of joy and laughter with her children, but each instance only intensified the awareness of the ongoing struggle she faced. Navigating these dynamics felt like walking a tightrope, balancing trust and self-protection, while aiming to cultivate healing within their family. By the end of the day, as the sun began to set and the sky bled hues of pink and gold, Emma gazed out at the horizon. With the rising tide and a heart heavy with ambition and uncertainty, she resolved to continue moving forward. Whatever happened next, be it with James, their family, or the shadows of their past, she would face it with the strength she had built. Just like the waves, each new challenge washed away the old worries, reminding her that resilience, like the ocean, ebbed and flowed, each cycle bringing something new. As they packed to leave, Emma knew the road to healing and renewal wasn't straightforward, and Sophie's presence would haunt her, but she refused to allow it to dictate her path. With James by her side, however complicated their relationship remained, and her children flourishing, she understood she had forged a new beginning, ready to tackle whatever awaited her just beyond the waves. The space ahead was hers to define, and no one could take that away. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting an array of vibrant colors across the sky as Emma drove home with Olivia, and Evan settled in the back seat, chattering animatedly about their beach day. Despite the joyful noise, Emma's heart was heavy. The encounter with Sophie lingered in her mind, a bitter thread weaving through the tapestry of her otherwise delightful day. She thought of how effortlessly Sophie had infiltrated their precious family time, and it seemed a reminder that past wounds could reopen at any moment. "Mom, can we go back to the beach tomorrow?" Evan asked from the back seat, his voice full of exuberance. Emma smiled, but her mind was elsewhere. "We'll have to see, sweetie. How about we plan another family trip soon?" She glanced in the rearview mirror at Olivia, who nodded enthusiastically, her curls bouncing with excitement. Giving the children her full attention brought Emma back to the moment, reminding her of the love that had driven her to facilitate the beach trip in the first place. That evening, as they settled into bedtime routines, Emma reflected on the complexities of family life. Her heart swelled with gratitude as she tucked the kids in, giving them kisses goodnight. "You two were amazing today," she said, delighting in their laughter, and later retreating to the quiet of her living room, where she sank into the embrace of her well-worn sofa. Just then, her phone buzzed, pulling her out of her reverie. It was a message from James. "Can we talk? There's something important I want to share." Emma's heart skipped. Part of her dreaded the prospect of yet another emotional conversation, especially after the tension Sophie had caused. Time passed, and despite the weariness creeping over her, she decided to respond. "Sure. When?" They agreed to meet at a local cafe the following evening. When she arrived the next day, uncertainty danced in her chest. James was already seated, running his fingers through his hair as he gazed pensively out the window. He looked up as she approached, giving her a tentative smile. "Thanks for coming," he said, his voice low. "Of course. What's going on?" she asked, taking her seat. "I've been thinking a lot about what happened at the beach," he began, his gaze intense. "I feel like I need to be honest about some things. I know that Sophie has been a part of our past, and I want to assure you that my focus is fully on the kids and on making this family work." Emma leaned forward slightly, her interest piqued. "What does that mean for you? For us?" "Well," he said, choosing his words carefully, "I've realized that I need to distance myself from her. I was foolish for thinking I could maintain any kind of friendship without it affecting my responsibilities as a father. My priority is to repair things, to create a stable environment for Olivia and Evan. I want you to know I'm committed to that, to us." The weight of his declaration registered, and Emma felt a mixture of surprise and hope. "That's a big step, James. But it's not just words. It requires action. If you're serious about moving forward, you need to accept the consequences of your past choices." "Exactly," he replied earnestly. "I refuse to let my mistakes define who I can be, as a father or as a person. I'm ready to earn back your trust, but I know it'll take time. I completely understand if you're uncertain about this." Emma studied him for a moment. noting the sincerity in his eyes. Trust is fragile, James. I want my children to have a father they can look up to, and I want space to protect and heal myself. We're on different journeys, but I can't stop you from trying. He nodded appreciatively. I promise to respect your boundaries while still being present for the kids. I just hope that as I work on myself, we can rebuild something solid between us. Something healthy. As their conversation continued, they delved into the nuances of their co-parenting journey. Topics ranged from more structured family time, after seeing how enthusiastic the kids were about the beach, to specific ways James could cultivate his role as a considerate father. The air felt lighter between them, a blossoming of mutual respect, budding out of shared vulnerability. Over the coming weeks, James followed through on his promise. He dedicated himself to being involved more than ever. He showed up for school events, helped with homework, and even brought the children to visit their favorite amusement park. Emma marveled at how the small daily actions shifted the tone of their co-parenting arrangement into something productive and cooperative. She also shielded herself against the lingering anxiety wrapped around Sophie's presence. Knowing that her shadow loomed in the background made trusting James more challenging. But Emma decided she would not allow fear to color her perspective. Each positive interaction assured her that they were on the right track. One afternoon, while organizing a few things for the children's upcoming science fair, Emma found herself on a video call with Maria, one of the women from her entrepreneurship workshop. "You seem more grounded lately," Maria remarked, her voice warm and inviting. Emma smiled. "It's funny you say that. Between James stepping up and the kids thriving, I feel optimistic. I'm also working on solidifying my business principles. The launch is so close." "That's fantastic. You've built a solid foundation. The next step is to make those connections you've been talking about." Maria's encouragement ran parallel to Emma's own self-discovery. She felt like she was finally taking ownership of her identity, not just as a mother, but as a professional who could carve opportunities out of adversity. "I've realized my past doesn't have to dictate my future," Emma mused, breathing in the excitement she felt bubbling within her. As she hung up the call, her phone buzzed again, this time with a message from James. "Can we chat later? I have some news." Curiosity piqued. Emma agreed to meet up after they put the kids to bed. Later that night, they gathered in the living room, a newfound sense of partnership hanging in the air. "I got noticed by a local nonprofit organization," he said, nerves evident as he leaned forward. "They're interested in my skills for their fundraising campaigns, and I'd like to give back to the community, especially with all the support you've shown me during this time." Emma's heart swelled with admiration. "That's amazing, James. Helping others might offer you the insights you need to grow even further while making a difference." "I hope so. I want to lead by example, to show Olivia and Evan that it's never too late to change course and give back." "That's the spirit," Emma encouraged, feeling the shift beneath their interaction yet again. Bringing that mindset into the mix gives our children a powerful message about resilience and empathy. As James shared his vision for how he could make a positive impact in the community, the conversation turned deeper, allowing them both to reflect on their motivations and the people they wanted to be, not just as co-parents, but as individuals capable of growth. "I appreciate you being so understanding and open to new ideas," he said, his eyes meeting hers. "It makes me realize how lucky I am to have your support in this." Emma could see the sincerity etched across his features, and in that moment, she felt a glimmer of warmth. Trusting again was daunting and far from easy, yet here they were, navigating an uncharted course together. Her heart dared to whisper that maybe there was hope for them yet. With the days stretching ahead, Emma embraced the notion that her journey was one of reclaiming joy and rebuilding. The bond forming between her and James transformed from the ashes of their broken past into a new relationship defined by understanding, coexistence, and shared parenting. Not free of complications, but full of promise. As she stood on the precipice of possibility, Emma understood that even through chaos, new beginnings could emerge. Each day was a new choice, a new chance to shape their future and redefine love in a way that empowered them all. And with that, Emma felt ready to face whatever lay ahead, buoyed by the lessons of the past and the warmth of the present. As autumn settled over Chicago, the leaves transformed into brilliant shades of crimson and gold, creating a vibrant tapestry against the sky. Emma found herself invigorated by the changing seasons, and each day felt like an opportunity to embrace the lessons she had learned while rebuilding her life. Both her children thrived, showcasing their newfound confidence and happiness, bolstered by James's active involvement in their lives. With the school year in full swing, the upcoming parent-teacher conferences were fast approaching. Emma felt invigorated as she planned for the evening, knowing it would serve as another opportunity to demonstrate how they were working together as co-parents. She envisioned creating an environment where Olivia and Evan would feel supported and encouraged, regardless of the complexities that wound around their family dynamics. The night of the conference arrived, and as they gathered in the school's bustling hallway, Emma felt a flutter of nerves in her stomach. James already stood by the entrance, engaged with a few other parents, and a sense of solidarity washed over her as she approached him. "Hey, you ready for this?" she asked, trying to steady her voice. "Absolutely. I'm looking forward to hearing how they're doing," he replied with genuine enthusiasm. The warmth of his smile reminded Emma of the person he had once been before everything fell apart. That memory fueled her with cautious optimism. They moved through the crowded halls, discussing the kids' progress as they visited each classroom together. The atmosphere buzzed with laughter and chatter, a stark contrast to the tension that once defined their interactions. Emma felt grateful for James's return to their children's lives as they met with teachers and engaged in positive conversations about Olivia and Evan's achievements. In the second grade classroom, Mrs. Taylor smiled brightly as they entered. "It's so great to see you both here. The kids are doing wonderfully, and I think their bond has grown stronger with your cooperative efforts." Emma felt a swell of pride. "Thank you. It's been a journey, but I'm glad to see them thriving." James added, "I've been working hard to be there for the kids and appreciate the partnership we're building post-divorce." As the evening unfolded, Emma watched as the teachers praised Olivia's creativity and Evan's curiosity. Each compliment sent waves of happiness through her. But more than that, hearing praise about their commitment to each other made her feel they were on the right path together. After their last meeting with the teachers, Emma and James stepped into a quieter corner of the school. "You know, I think we're figuring this out," Emma said, a smile gracing her lips. "Our kids feel secure, and that matters most." "Agreed," he replied, his gaze earnest. "I want to keep it that way. You know, I've got to show them that I can be a reliable father, no matter how complicated things feel." Their camaraderie felt so refreshing that, for a moment, Emma allowed herself to consider the possibility of rekindling a friendship with James, surrounded by the unwavering responsibility as parents. Yet, the shadows of their past reminded her to tread cautiously, and she redirected her thoughts. Days turned into weeks, and life seamlessly interspersed the mundane with bursts of joy. Emma grew from strength to strength in her work, expanding her contacts in the local entrepreneurial community. She immersed herself in discussions, gaining skills in business management, and making invaluable connections that could take Hollis Creative to the next level. As November rolled in, a prominent charity gala approached, hosted by one of Emma's new business contacts. She received a call from Maria, who was equally enthused about attending the event. "This is the perfect chance for you to showcase your design work," Maria exclaimed. "Do you think so?" Emma mused, both nervous and excited. "I'm still relatively new in the scene." "Absolutely. Show them the talent you possess," Maria encouraged. "It's also a great way to meet people who could be vital to your journey." Determined and inspired, Emma opted to attend the gala, deciding to showcase her skills through a strategic presentation of her work, rather than simply enjoying the evening as a guest. This was a leap, an opportunity to shine in the very world she had once believed was exclusive to others. The night of the gala arrived, and Emma adorned herself in a sleeveless navy gown that flattered her figure. As she applied the final touches of makeup, she glanced in the mirror and felt a surge of empowerment. For the first time in a long, she saw not just a mother or an ex-wife, but a woman ready to embrace the life she had crafted with dedication and hard work. Entering the venue, Emma admired the grandeur around her. The rich decorations, sparkling chandeliers, and polished marble floors radiated elegance. Conversations bubbled like champagne, yet beneath that surface was a palpable current of ambition and aspiration. With every eager step, she felt a rush of adrenaline surge through her, a mix of excitement and nervousness as she moved through the crowd, greeting familiar faces and introducing herself to new ones. She could feel the power of her individuality reflected in the striking design of her business cards, displaying feelings of pride in one hand. Maria joined her soon after, her energy radiating through the air. "Look at you, Emma! You own this space," she cheered. Emma flushed at the compliment, feeling her spirits lift. "I'm excited to be here. I want to make connections and showcase my design work. I hope it leads to something great." They began mingling, their shared enthusiasm catching the attention of influential attendees. Emma spoke passionately about her vision for Hollis Creative, her words fueled by a blend of confidence and resolve, and she could see intrigue spark in the eyes of those around her. In a fortuitous twist, while sharing her story with a potential investor, Emma felt a rush of warmth when she spotted James across the room. He had come to show support, reminding her how far they'd come in their journey. There, amid the clinking glasses and laughter, Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. James had stepped into a new role, genuinely trying to foster their children's growth while also contributing to her new chapter. However, the unexpected sight of Sophie amongst the crowd brought her back down to reality. She stood elegantly in a fitted black dress, effortlessly commanding attention as she engaged with the gala's interested patrons. The wounds of betrayal resurfaced momentarily, but Emma could see that this time, she felt different. This time, the flicker of insecurity was soon replaced by a robust sense of self-worth. Sophie's gaze met Emma's for a brief moment, both women sizing each other up in shared recognition. Emma refused to let that encounter define her. She turned back to her conversation with newfound resolve, finishing her pitch with authenticity and passion. As the gala wore on, connections solidified, and Emma received an invitation to collaborate with a local nonprofit organization. The notion that her work could make a positive difference revitalized her spirit. Every networking opportunity solidified that she was no longer merely defined by her tumultuous past circumstances. Later that evening, Maria joined Emma, a beaming smile etched on her face. "You did remarkable work tonight. I overheard people talking about your designs. It's going to propel your agency forward." Emma felt elated, the thrill of progress surging through her. As they approached the exit, she caught sight of James waiting by the door, a supportive smile gracing his features. The two exchanged meaningful looks as she approached, a moment of connection solidifying without words. "How was the event?" he asked, a hint of admiration in his voice. "Exhilarating," Emma responded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I made some great contacts, and I'm finally taking steps toward my goals." With a genuine nod, he replied, "I'm proud of you. You deserve this recognition, and I'm happy to see you soar." That exchange resonated deeply with her. She felt valued, appreciated, and empowered, not just as an individual, but as a co-parent and an equal partner working toward a greater future for them all. In the weeks that followed, the balance of their dynamic shifted as they forged a partnership based on mutual respect and shared responsibility. Watching James reaffirm, engage with their children, only deepened Emma's appreciation for the progress they had made, while her success propelled her into a new chapter professionally. And with each passing moment, she embraced the evolving narrative of her life, one that blended newfound clarity, reconciliation, and a sense of expansive possibilities tied to her family and her career aspirations. Storms had raged in her life, yet here she stood with unwavering resolve, ready to celebrate victory, to nurture her children, and to navigate whatever else life would throw her way.